Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Double D's live podcast with myself and Muir. Hope you're all well this week. Muir, how are you?
I am good. Do we want to give a little shout out to our new sponsor for the month of February?
Yeah, so very, very excited to announce that we have a month-long sponsor on board, which is great because I'm actually looking forward to kind of getting to them. They're a new company, so I'm looking forward to getting to know them. I'm working with them and everything like that. So, Muir, would you give us the introduction?
So for the month of February, all of the Double D's podcasts are going to be sponsored by, I feel like we should have a drum roll.
I know.
Turfstar Toys. So Turfstar Toys has been started by the unreal Sally Ann Grassick. Is there anything that woman cannot do, to be fair? They were only formed in 2024. And currently they make plush teddy bears. And currently they have the coolest plush teddy bear of Honeysuckle. It's her colors, it's her makeup. It looks just like her. It's very, very cool. Now they do have some new ones coming out that are hopefully going to be out for Cheltenham. They can be bought online. Currently in TRI, I know they were on sale in Leopardstown the other day as well for the Dublin Racing Festival, but they're really, really cool. So you can have a look and check them out, and we will be doing something very cool and very big at the end of the month. So keep a little eye out on that.
And that website, Muir, just to, so I'm right, it's turf-stars.com.
Yeah, the very one. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's super, super cute. So do have a look at them. And yeah, so that's exciting news. We have a month-long sponsor, and very, very happy to be working closer with them. What has been happening with you this week, Muir?
So really unusually, myself and Porrick actually went away for the weekend. I can't remember the last time we were away.
I was shocked when you said we're away. I was like, "Excuse me, what?" Shocked.
Because we don't go, like we just don't do it. Like, no, not that we don't do it. We used to, but like life is so busy. But I had gotten 2 tickets for the Ireland-England rugby match, and we just said, "Oh, here, do you know what? Let's just make a little weekend of it." So we went up to Dublin on the Friday. We stayed Friday night and Saturday night, and obviously went to the English match. And yeah, it was great crack. It was lovely. We stayed in, excuse me, Staunton's on the Green. I am 99%. No, it was Staunton's on the Green. At the back of Stephen's Green. We actually passed it. Do you remember when we went up to that meeting where we had the cool meeting room and they had all the, do you remember they had all the free sanitary stuff in the bathroom?
Oh,
and we were wearing,
iconic offices. That was just off. That was the
yeah.
train, was that?
Yeah. So do you remember myself and Shane got lost when we were trying to find it?
I do.
So that was one of the places myself and Shane rambled around to while we were on our little jaunt around the city. But it was lovely. It was very, very nice now, I have to say. And do you know what? And I know this is controversial and it's not what people want to hear. I actually prefer watching matches on the telly. I know I shouldn't say that out loud.
I get that though. Like, okay, so you get a lot of atmosphere at the game, but you don't see half of it. And like for somebody who's not, for me, who's not educated on rugby, like it happens so quick. I miss so much of it unless I see it. You know what I mean? Or I can watch it back and understand it and learn a bit more about it. So I do get that, but that's
like
phenomenal.
The crack was great. Absolutely brilliant. And walking down to the match and back up from the match and all the build up and the suspense. And I love all of that. And I love being around all of that. But the actual match itself, like if the person beside me got up one more time to go to the bar or go to the bathroom, I think my head was going to actually explode. And he was a lovely man. He was really nice, really chatty. But he spent the entire match in and out. And I was going,
okay, and do you reckon, Mar? Do you reckon that he was like a true rugby fan, or was he?
No, he was purely there for the beer.
Yeah,
pure. Like
I think that's the problem.
And he said it himself.
And that's me saying it from an outsider's perspective. Like it's gone quite commercial, so people are using it for business meetings and not necessarily business meetings, but like business outings, team building. you know,
Well, like the diversity of it is brilliant, but like if you really wanted to watch, so say like even and like Park is obviously, as much as I don't admit it to Park, but Park is obviously way more educated on rugby stuff than I am. But like we recorded the match and he watched it again then because he wanted to see the commentary and see what people were saying and be able to look closely at it. And like it is like, I mean, the crack afterwards is great. Like we went back up to the bridge and they like between everybody coming back, it didn't make a difference whether you're Irish, English, from Taiwanese. It made no odds. Like the crack was deadly, but the actual match itself, I was like, I think I would prefer to be in the club or be at home and watching this than being able to go, what happened there? Tell me what.
I get that. I do. I get that. And did you go up for 1 or 2 nights?
We went up for the 2 nights. So we went up on the Friday, and Park reckons I'm getting old, which I am, by the way, because like in my head, this made completely logical sense, right? So the parking in the city with the hotel was quite expensive. It was €81. And we weren't going to be using the car. So, because we were literally just going to be driving up on the Friday and coming back down on the Sunday. So we parked in the Red Cow at the Lewis stop, and we got the Lewis in and the Lewis back out. And I was delighted with myself. I was telling everybody that had listened. I was like, €8. It was €8 for the 2 days now compared to €81 that we would have paid in the city. Well, the slagging, the absolute slagging I got. But I was going, like, we were going back
That's
out
a no
to the
brainer.
women.
That's just using your literal, like, your common sense.
Exactly. Why would you be paying the extra money? Like when we didn't need the car, we weren't going to be using it. And we were going, so when we came home on the Sunday, we were going straight over to Swords because the Carlow women's team were playing in Swords. And you're like, what did it take us? I think it took us 20 minutes or 25 minutes or something. Maddest rugby pitch ever. The planes are landing down across the rugby pitch. It's deadly.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very
but Muir,
much
how was your weekend?
in Swords? My week was good. So it started off with Mum's birthday on Wednesday, and I just said to her, look, we have plans on Wednesday. I said, this is what we're doing. So I did tell her on the day, I was like, look, we're going to go for afternoon tea. And then following that, then my dad was like, girls, treat yourselves, have a spa treatment. So I was like, okay. So it was so nice. And it was just lovely just to get away from Pure. It felt like we were away from, I'd say about 2:30 on Wednesday until about 6:30, 7:15. I was home to put the girls to bed, and it felt like we were away for hours. You know what I mean? Like days even. Like it was just so relaxing and just so nice to just chill with my mom and just catch up with her a little bit. And there's been a lot going on, and we've been kind of literally like ships passing in the night. Do you know what I mean? Kind of tag teaming each other or whatever. So that was so nice. And then I was just in the yard Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I was so tired. Oh my God. I said I was coming down with something, but I managed to fight it off because you know the way like your muscles just get so sore, like, do you know what I mean? Or just kind of just so heavy. I was like, literally shoveling. I was like shoveling like shavings, which is not heavy. I was like, oh God, I'm so tired. No, I was so lucky because Dad was on hand to give me a hand, and he was doing the wheelbarrows and all this sort of stuff. So it was grand, but I was like, oh my God. So anyway, I'd say I managed to fight it off, whatever it was, because I was grand. And after, well, I'd say it was also probably a lack of sleep because I was working quite late into the evenings, working on a project behind the scenes. So I'd say I was literally just a bit tired, but it was just that kind of like, oh my God, I could just literally sit down and fall asleep where I'm standing. But it didn't stop me from organising my pantry.
Oh my word!
So my pantry, I absolutely love my pantry. Like I would be lost without it because our kitchen is not massive. Our kitchen and our sitting room are like the one room. Do you know what I mean? So it's not. There's not a lot of storage in the kitchen.
You have a very cool pantry, though. To be fair.
Yeah, but it just ends up getting piled full of, as you can imagine, crap. So I was like, I was going in and I was like, no, this is not making good space. So I started in my kitchen, cleaned out the cabinets, and then filled them back up with what should be there. You know what I mean? Like medicine stuff, or like what else should be there? Like the drinks should be there. They shouldn't be in the pantry. You know what I mean? Because we have a drinks press. So I was like, get them out of the pantry, get them up there, you know, and even like some of my bacon stuff, like because now I've started baking. Where did I say that? Full-time baker. No. Paige likes muffins. She's actually muffin obsessed at the minute. Everything is muffin. Muffin. Can I have a muffin? Yeah.
Love it.
So like all my bacon trays, I'm like, they shouldn't be in the pantry. They should be in the press beside the oven. You know what I mean? For when you want them. So I was like, right, on a mission.
Makes
But
sense.
I eventually got it done. And the best bit is yet to come. Labeling everything. I have to whip out my label maker and I have to label everything. So I'm so looking forward to
You know,
doing that. But
Sarah,
I'll do that
if you were on TikTok, you'd be making a fortune off these things. You could be doing time lapses and people who ask where you got your stuff. You could do that. I'll just link it in my bio.
Hashtag influencer. Yeah, no, if I was doing it for any other reason than just for my own mental health, I probably would. But no, it's just to help keep me sane. But yeah, I got it done, and it had to be done on stages, which was a bit terrible because you're kind of like, I'm trying to keep the girls out of the room while it's upended, and then you know I'm in and out trying to work on it, whatever. But it was great. Mum and Dad actually took them for a couple of hours yesterday, which let me kind of do the final touches and then clean it all. You know what I mean? So I was like, perfect. It was great. And then on Sunday we had a family get together with my dad's side of the family, so like an extended family get together. And like, oh my god, like we never do it. And like my family are great crack. You always have the best time when you're with them. You know what I mean? But you just why does it go so long before you see each other again? It's just crazy. Like now we're all scattered. Like, do you know what I mean? Most of them in Dublin, obviously. All of them in Dublin. But like we might see one or two of them at different times of the year, but like we never all get together. It's just so hard. But it's just the best crack when you do. So the girls were there and my cousin was there with her 4 kiddies. Her youngest is the same age as Brie. And we just had the crack with them. Like they're outside with the dogs. We got pizza for dinner. The kids stood up on the kitchen table and danced to Thunderstruck. So that was funny. Like they were literally headbanging.
I hope you got videos of that. That's as their 21st.
There's a little video. Yeah, I do. I have a little video. But it was great. And so like we were very late leaving there, late getting home. And the girls were super. Like they don't, well, Brie always sleeps in. Paige never sleeps in. So she's been a bit tired since, but like they're great. And I just love I love breaking routine with them and not paying the penalty.
I'm not, yeah.
You know, like, because it's so easy to just stay in routine. And I was like, oh God, the later it's getting, you know what I mean? The harder it's going to be to keep them awake going home and whatever. But they were grand. Like, you just, like, they're so relaxed.
I was a devil. Poor Alfione, I don't know. Like, he was dragged up, that poor chap, like, mother of God. Like, I'm not going to say we had no routine, but like, there was no say set, like, get to 7:30 and he'd have to be in bed. Like, if we were out somewhere, or like if we were gone to a match, or we were out and about with horses, or we were doing something, like I tried to have him in his pajamas. Like, this was when he was young, obviously. You'd have him in his pajamas and be ready for bed when he got home. But God love him, like, he just slept. Like, I don't actually know how lucky I was, because
I think that, not that that's right or wrong, like, do you know what I mean? As in, even the way that I kind of do things is right or wrong. I'm probably a bit selfish when it comes to the routine, because when the girls are in bed at 7:00, now this has all been said, it's 8:15 now, everyone, and both girls are still awake. So that's just but because I have so much work to catch up on in the evenings,
Yeah.
If they're in bed by 7, I have the evening. You know what I mean?
It's your time. Yeah, which is so
And then
important as
especially
well.
with the nap time, I'll like when Paige is in preschool during the week, I'll be in a hurry to get Bree home and in bed so that for those couple of hours I get work done. You know what I mean? Whereas I could stay out, I could go off and do things with Bree. She might sleep for half an hour, she might not. You know what I mean? And then pick up Paige on the way home, but I don't actually get any work done. So kind of selfish reasons
for you, though.
and it works.
Like,
but I'm not super rigid with it, like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, and I think like I've spoken to so many parents and guardians along the way, and there's like a friend of mine is hilarious. I won't name her because she'll give out stink to me, but like when she was having her first child, she read all of the books, she was on all of the forums, she was like, this child was reared, it was 18, it was in Trinity, it was gone, it was out the gap, like, and the poor kid got colic, never slept. It was quite a cranky little child, if truth be told. Now turned into a gorgeous little kid, but just very, very unsettled. And she used to be ringing me going, Maureen, I don't know what to do. And I was saying, right, well, you just have to do what is suiting you and is best for your child in this moment. And because she was saying like everything was getting on top of her. The house was quite a mess, but she didn't want to, she was so tired during nap time. She just wanted to sleep. It's like, that's what your body is telling you to do. Just the mess will be there. It'll be fine. So we ended up, her mom used to go down to her once a week, and then I used to go down and take the child once a week. So she had the couple of hours, because there wasn't a huge support system behind her. But I genuinely think that you have to do what's best and what you feel is best.
Yeah. There's a balance, and the balance is not always one way or the other. It can be like tipping the scales all the time. You know what I mean? Like they say, but
life, in fairness, constantly.
Exactly. I'm going to jump in with my topic first, Mar, because I don't want to finish off.
We've a lot to talk about, and it's very interesting, in fairness.
We do. So basically, I went onto the grid and stories on, I think it was Sunday. I happened upon, I wanted to get kind of more up to date with my daily feeds. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to make sure that I was getting the news, I was hearing about relevant topics to me, and basically female equestrians. So I updated my Google search, I did all bits and pieces, and one of the things was like to make sure that I subscribed to different magazines and different platforms and stuff like that. And I went into the FEI database and I made sure that I was signed up to their newsletter, which I was, but then it prompted me to pick the disciplines. And I think there are maybe 7 or 8 disciplines there now, but it prompted me to pick the disciplines, and I was like, this is brilliant. I followed them all because I was like, I want updates on all the disciplines. But then it came up and it said that you have a choice of picking which athletes you want to follow, which is, again, incredible. And it also gives you the option to choose which horses you want to follow as well. So I was like, this is brilliant. Like, I mean, especially, if you have a vested interest into any of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there's 8 disciplines, FEI disciplines. But I noticed that when I say noticed, it probably slapped me in the face, but it was when it suggested the athletes. There was 5 people suggested. 4 of them were men. One of them was a woman. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Followed that woman. And then I was like, I wonder now, will it come up again? So it refills the lineup of 5.
Yeah.
And again, it came up with 1 woman. And I went back out and I came back in again. I came up with 4 to 1 woman. Followed her again. And then for the next 3-4 times, it came up all men as being suggested. And I just thought, I was like, well, that's definitely either a discrepancy or a potential to help improve visibility for women in the sport, basically. So I was like, it just got me thinking, is it And I did say, like, I did test this a few times. So I went back out and came back in, kind of cleaned my search, if you know what I mean, and then started again. And each time, like, it was either 4-1 or 5-0. So I was like, okay, does this mean that the FEI database is made up of 4-1 men to women ratio? So are 80% of the database of FEI men? And this is why you're seeing like the probability and the breakdown of it being 4-1 predominantly. And I was like, okay, well, if that is the case, then, or is there another, I did question if there was another maybe algorithm at play, like is it to do with rankings, is it to do with what's popular, is it to do with like what's happening that weekend, like is there some other algorithm at play? And I don't know enough about the different disciplines to be able to say, oh, that person won this weekend, so that's why they're popping up, they're most relevant or whatever. So but even still, even if that person was most relevant that weekend, it should still, that feeds into more popularity, more visibility, more support, more success. You know what I mean? So it's still an opportunity where women could and should be made more visible. And so it just, and then I was like, oh, like it's really, it's kind of just a small thing, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? It's just a little thing. It's just a kind of a recommendation on a website. But it is a series of small things and an accumulation of these small discrepancies that leads to the bigger gaps.
100%. And can I ask you a question? For somebody that is so involved in eventing and have been involved in eventing and is obviously a woman in the eventing sphere, how did that actually make you feel?
I was really sad. I was really, really sad because I was like, here it is in black and white. And especially with eventing, for example, because eventing is, so when I went back and I did the top 50, I think it was from the big three, shall we say, from the dressage, show jumping and eventing. And show jumping was dominated by males, dressage dominated by females, and then eventing was 50-50. And even when I look now again at the top 100s as of January, I looked at it and it's still like 50% of the leaderboard is women in eventing. And that makes me incredibly proud. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, yeah,
amazing.
You know, like it just goes to show you, like, do you mean when there's no kind of like, when you're put in a level playing field, I know the horses are different, obviously, but there's definitely that 50-50 environment is there to be seen. And even still, on the FEI website, it was so blatant. It was so blatant. I was like, we're missing from the front pages. We're missing from the prompts. We're missing from the suggestions, you know? And I just thought, like, it's a small step that, and I'm using FEI as an example. Like, I think other organizations could take influence from this too. I think that it's a small thing that they could do to make it that's 50-50. Do you know what I mean? That women feature 50-50 on those prompts.
Do we have about the smaller, minute changes that are constantly changing and constantly swapping and making the even, and I don't necessarily mean, I was going to say the leaders of the industry, but everybody, like we talk so openly and honestly about how men and women are on a level playing field. Then put us on that fucking field. Don't leave us out of it. Like, we're here, we're fighting for our sport, we're fighting for our horses. Give us the visibility from it.
So here's a question. So even if, okay, so take hypothetically, they work their algorithm from results, right? Mm-hmm. And women don't feature on it as high as men. And I don't know if that's not going to be the case across all the disciplines, but let's just take it as that's what they're pulling their algorithm from. And then this is where the end goal has to come into play into today's actions, in my opinion. So this is where, even if women aren't winning at the top of the sport, even if they aren't even there, as in if there's only 20% of women competing internationally with the FEI, then this is still an opportunity to give them more coverage, to actually, and I don't even want to say give them a leg up. It's trying to gain equality. So again, it's giving equal opportunities.
Yeah.
And this certainly does not feel like equal opportunities in this
Well,
case.
I'd be very, very interested to know, and I don't know, and again, I don't know enough about algorithms. I don't know how they're made. I don't know how they're structured, but I would be very interested to know how their algorithm is formed. Like, is it a case that it's a bot and it's done from numbers, as you say, it's done from statistics, it's done from results. And that's a genuine question, because I think and this is probably coming from a selfish point of view, if I had won something at the weekend and had worked my arse off and came on to look at that website and it was results based and I wasn't named, I would not be happy.
Yeah.
No.
But there's far too many results for it to be applicable for 5 people at that time. So who decides who gets the coverage? There has to be some sort of an algorithm or probability scale at play, and I get that, but I do believe that there's some sort of filter or setting that you can put into place to ensure that there's equal opportunity and representation, especially if you're prompting people, whatever about leaving it that they can search for females or search for the males, whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Especially if they're prompting, it needs to be done with, the right mindset and the end goal of visibility for both sexes across the board.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I just think
equine craniosacral, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, has some big thoughts on this. She said, It's awesome. Amen. And so someone needs to make a documentary. There you go. Now you can be on TikTok in the morning and Netflix next week there, Sarah.
Let me add. But the thing about it is that's so kind of relevant to Equitas is that I think a lot of the time people ask us like what we do and is there a need for you? You know what I mean? As in, like, do women need individual representation in our sport when technically other media brands should be covering and do cover women? But there it is. There's your answer. It's and it's
right there.
As I said, it's a small thing, but if you were to make a list, and I should do it, like when these things crop up, make a list of all the little ways that women are either overlooked or aren't portrayed. Like, so one of the things, for example, was at the Olympics, at 2025 Olympics, the male versus female ratio of photographers was like, I think there's one female. So that just shows you we're actually seeing the Olympics through the eyes of a male, and it's not that it's a bad thing, but it shouldn't be assumed, or it shouldn't just be that way. You know what I mean? And taken as being that way. Like, highlight the issue, encourage more female photographers, see what it is they need to get to where they need to go to be there to represent. I'd love to see the Olympics through the eyes of a female and just see if it's different. Just see.
Do you know what fascinates me? Right. So I had a whole 47 minutes, I think, to myself today. It was very lovely, I'm not going to lie. And I was having a little think about this. And kind of they actually quite similar to that thought process. How can we create those small changes? What can we do? How can it be represented? And I was trying to think back over some of kind of the news and media stories and some of the things that I have seen popping up lately. And it's so interesting when you talk about the photographers for the Olympics, right? Because I won't name anybody, obviously, but I was looking at some of the media outlets, and one of them was covering international grooms and does an unbelievable job of covering them now, I have to say. But I was going back down through and I was looking, and it was about 90% female and 10% male. And I was saying, like that, and the whole way through it, and it wasn't. I'd love to know the ratios, and if and this is probably also coming from a slightly strange perspective, but I'd love to know if it's a lady that's running their social media account.
And
Just out
here's
of
another one for
curiosity.
you. I went back through another media outlet, their Instagram. Now I don't think they are active on it, but I don't think that's the first place that you'd go to for news. You know what I mean? But
Yes, yeah.
back through their Instagram, and the only woman to feature, and I'm talking like many, many scrolls down the feed, was Rachel Blackmore. And when I went in, it had her picture, but it had nothing to do with her on the cover. It had nothing to do with her in the post. So it was a complete token gesture, in my opinion. And again, that was a while ago, do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I was like, wow, like when you actually open your eyes and look at these things, it is just an accumulation of this stuff. So like her picture was used, but she actually wasn't even named, So again, it just goes back to that kind of saying that we said, like, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And I'm just thinking of the young girls that might happen to fall on the FEI website, or might happen to fall on media pages or the Instagram pages of media outlets and stuff like that. And I just feel like we should be just mindful of this stuff, the little things, iron out those little things, and then they will help iron out the bigger picture. And I can't help think that it's just a small step in the right direction. You know what I mean? It's not going to make or break, but it definitely improve. And I have,
Sorry,
so
I'm
what I
not
did
showing my eyes
on the back
for you.
of that,
I'm showing my eyes to Evan at Park, who again has swapped and is now commenting from the kitchen.
oh, is he? He's in the DMs again.
The real problem is that people in general are only interested in winners, and that's the problem. If you mention boxing in this country, it's Kelly or Katie. And see, myself and Park have great debates over this, right? Because we talk about women's rugby a lot, and how I don't think that women's rugby gets enough coverage. All across the world, not just in Ireland. I don't think it gets enough coverage. And yes, I understand that people want to follow winners. But if the female winners aren't highlighted to the same extent as the male winners in all sports, then people don't know they're doing it. So it doesn't build that coverage. It doesn't build the sentiment behind people wanting to follow it.
They don't know. Yeah, exactly. They don't know what to do. They don't. The aspiration doesn't follow through. And then what we like to do is, yes, we want to absolutely champion the women who are huge successes and winning, because that's huge, and we want to be there to support them. But we also want to show as much as we possibly can of a journey on the way up, to show how they did it, how many obstacles they overcome, the challenges that they faced. Do you know what I mean? The grit that they had, and how they just decided, no, I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep going. So like, you're showing the end game, but you're also showing the methods of it. You're also inspiring those. You're showing people that amateurs or people who don't even ride, that there are stepping stones to being that, but you have to show the journey to the top as well as the top, in my opinion. But yeah, it's so basically what I did was my moment with FEI, the website. I created a spreadsheet.
I love it, Sarah. I love it. Sarah makes the best spreadsheet. They're unreal.
8 disciplines. The 7 or 8 disciplines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I keep telling myself the 8 disciplines that are on there. So we've got show jumping, dressage, para dressage, eventing, endurance, reining, driving, and vaulting. And I went in and all of the females that are listed in the top 100s of those categories. Welcome to it. And I will happily share it. Now, what I'm going to do is, there's an article dropping tomorrow morning, basically just summing up this conversation and what I came across, and sharing that document. So, or the spreadsheet. So if people are wanting it, they can either subscribe to Equitas and they'll get it sent to their inbox in the morning, 7 a.m. if I remember correctly, and they can download it from there, or just pop us a DM and I'll get it across to you. So yeah, that's what I did. I worked and I made sure that I was like, right, well, what am I going to do about it? Okay, well, I'm going to get every single female that's in the top 100 and give them visibility. So
Love it.
that's the plan.
I love it. Well, I really hope I am pronouncing this properly. Equine Craniosacral is back in again, and she said, start a women's eventing program of organization, like celebrating women in eventing.
Like, to be honest, I 100% agree. Say that
That
again?
made me think of the TikTok during the week. Shane was slagging us during the week, guys, about our giant water bottles.
Yes. Yes. This one actually is from, I got it in Aldi the other day, and it actually makes me feel like I'm drinking like from a McDonald's cup or Burger King cup, like,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? So kind of, I kind of like
that
it
kind
for
of
now.
shape.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress. Yeah, I think there's definitely, look, there's something that can be done within every discipline. I'd like to think that Equitas represents a wide range of disciplines, and not just here in Ireland. I'm talking globally as well. So, it is definitely something to be mindful of. But I think the biggest thing that we need to all do is just sit up and pay attention. Sit up and pay attention to what's happening or not happening, for women, and especially, like, even if it's not your discipline, still pay attention and support and see what's happening, and if there are discrepancies, and do what you can to help fill in those gaps and narrow those gaps, I suppose. Yeah,
bring them to us. Like, there's only so much that we can see and we can take in, and there's obviously an awful lot of other things happening across the world. So if there's things that you feel that we could make a change to, or we could start open conversations, or we could start contacting people and seeing, just send us a message, send us an email. Like, we'll do our very best to try and start
this is not about this is not about a witch hunt. This is not about, like, trying to start fights or anything like that. It's just about opening your eyes and going, wow, yeah, when you mention it, like, that would actually make a bit of a difference. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like those funny kind of observations and little tweaks here and there, that if everyone
back
on a grand scheme, not overnight, but definitely on the right path.
No, but it will.
So anyway, we leave that article's coming out tomorrow morning as a kind of a recap, and sharing that spreadsheet that I did up. And so if anyone wants to, just make sure and subscribe. It's free to subscribe, and that will be in your inbox at 7 a.m. Mar, your topic.
Learning to adjust to different stages in life. At the weekend, I discovered. Now, this only applies to last weekend. It's very different. I am getting fucking old. Let's call a spade, lads. I no longer want to go out till 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to be squashed in the corner of a pub somewhere. I actually want to have conversations. I want to be able to speak to people. And I kind of, like, I love going out. I love crack and divilment and, like, being in the middle of it all and the bit of banter, but it's definitely changing. And like, I loved raving. 4 or 5 nights a week, like, I'd be stuck in the middle of it. You wouldn't pay me, like, actually wouldn't pay me to go and do that now. No. I want a bit of banter. I want to be able to talk to my friends. I want to be able to have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a giggle. But I also want to be home relatively early and not hungover in the morning. That's my current wish list.
You know what I actually, and this is going to, controversial as it may be, during COVID times, when we had to be, like, out of the pubs by like 10 o'clock or something, so everyone kind of went out early and came home early. Do you remember there was a time when you had to kind of, I don't know, just had to be out by 9 o'clock or something? Anyway, I was like, this is the best, because you still went home with your fun night's sleep, and, like, you were ready to go for the next day. So I get. Do you think that it's down to, like, it's not the drink, let's say, it's not, do you think it's down to just maybe an overall lack of energy and like prioritizing your energy.
100%. Like
Right, okay.
100%. So the last couple of days, what day is today? Today is Tuesday. So yesterday and today, I was giving Claire a hand. I was odd. Do you know what? I really missed it. Like, I really missed it. And I don't think I realized how much I missed it till I was actually there and stuck in the middle of it and going, okay, what's the crack with that one? Where did that one come from? Oh no, I recognize that one. How can I help with this one? But I was really, really tired because obviously my job had been so physical. And then I went to kind of the farm work and the walks and but I was sitting, I was on my laptop, so it was very different. It completely changed, but it it made me realize that I actually want to prioritize what I put my energy into. Whereas before I didn't really care because I had so much energy that I just bursted through things and it didn't make any odds and I could survive on an hour's sleep and I didn't care and it was all fine. No, now I can't do that anymore. Like, I came home today and I went for a nap. I got into bed for half an hour and and I slept. Like, I woke up and I was like, oh, golly, now I felt better for it. Like, and I was, you know, I obviously needed it, but like, naps.
I know.
I'm hard. Now, my problem is now, though, I won't sleep until 1 o'clock tonight. And then I'll be back up again at 5:30.
Yeah. So you get into a bad kind of a routine. Yeah. And so are you doing anything else for yourself, like outside of that, to try and keep? So I have two questions for you, right? Do you think that your quality of work has changed? And I don't mean that like
my quality
necessarily to good or bad, but like when you were younger and you had more energy and you were flitting through things, like I kind of feel like for me right now, if I'm doing something, I want it to be the best that I can possibly be because I don't want to have to either redo it or, you know, I want to make it count. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just kind of not half-assing it, like, because that's, I don't think.
No, but just getting through things.
Yeah, but just kind of saying, oh, I come back to that later, or I'll do it now, and then I'll, you know.
I think I'm definitely more conscious of the work that I do now. Like, I'm a lot more probably systematic in what I want to get done. Like, Shane asked me for my schedule for this week. And when I opened it up and looked at it, I went, I can't send that shit. I'll go here and I'll go there and I'll do this and I'll do that. So I had to literally sit down and go, right, okay, here are my, you know, my 3 priorities for the day. And these are my nice haves if I get that extra hour or if I can fit them in or if I can, whatever the case may be. But I think I'm definitely more thoughtful and I'm more structured than I ever was. With the horses, I 100%, I am so much better now than I ever was when I was younger. Ever was. And it wasn't that I always cared. I always wanted the best for the horses. I always had their intentions at heart, regardless of what yard I was in, where I was, what I was doing. But it was always very, very rushed. And
that's what I mean. Like, it's no longer just kind of getting through something or getting a job done. It's more intentional.
Oh, 100%. But I think, and like, I know people are sick of me talking about Claire and how amazing she is, but I love being in that yard because whereas, yes, you're busy and you have to get through the horses and the work has to be done. If there's something that I am questioning or I want to have a little second look at, or there's something else going on, or it's not 100%, there's always time.
Yeah.
Always. Like, there is no question in my mind. I can run down, please come up here and take a look at this, or Claire can come down, or I want you to have a gander at this. I'm not very sure. But like, we had an extra hour yesterday, which never happens in fairness, like, through busy lives. So we went and pulled mains. But you know what? It was lovely. Because we stood and we chatted and we had the banter and we got to have a chat through some of the new horses that obviously I wouldn't know or wouldn't have been there for when they were coming in. But it was actually just lovely. And I don't know, like a lot of people had said when I finished in Dundrum, would I go back to the racing yards, like some of the bigger yards, or they go back riding out? First of all, I am not as hardy as I wasn't overly hardy in the first place, but my bottle is rotten. I don't bounce anymore. I don't want to go back to riding 7, 8, 9 horses a day. It's just not in me. I'm just not capable of it. But also, I think I'd really, really struggle with the time constraints and not being able to spend actual time. Like I went in today to rug up on the horses and she was asleep in the stable, so I lay down beside her for 5 minutes. Sorry, Claire. Claire got it, that's it. But like just having those, those couple of extra minutes where you can just go, okay,
Yeah.
that's just, and I love being in yards and traveling around, and you can feel it. When you come into a yard, you can feel that energy. You can feel what kind of a yard it's going to be. You can see within the horses. Like the last day myself and Shane went up to Shane Duffy's yard, I didn't want to come home. It was just lovely. And like everything was being worked. Everything was doing their job. Everybody was busy, but it was so just okay.
Yeah.
What do we do next? Let's take a little step. Let's
Such a lovely
move on.
atmosphere.
It's just lovely. So I do think the older I get, the more intentional I am about the work that I want to do. But it's also, and it probably comes from experience, really and truly. Like I'm looking at horses now going, okay, like let's work on this, or I can improve that, or I can help with this, or maybe suggest doing different bits and pieces. But I genuinely, and like obviously I'm very lucky I have my horses here, but I really didn't realize how much I missed working with them. Like Claire was laughing. She was like, "Well, there's lots of them." I was like, "Oh no, I'm not back. I'm only helping."
This is
My little
gender.
horsey.
This is my therapy for my mental health. Thanks.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Claire.
We move onward to I feel like a few quick fire questions. What do you reckon?
Oh yeah. Let's go.
I'm gonna throw a few at you. What's your death row meal?
Oh, my death row meal. A really, really, really good steak, like proper good steak. Chunky triple cut chips, garlic butter, and green beans. I'd be happy with
It's actually my favorite meal at the moment, but not usually when I'm not pregnant. So with baby leg steak.
You'll have to bring you up a bit of
mine would be, it'd have to be eggs of some shape or form. I'm just obsessed with them at the moment. I did a quick omelette for the girls this evening.
Eggs are
I'm sure I was just eating half of theirs. I was like, this is ridiculous. Yeah, probably something to do with eggs would be for me. I'd have to probably think about how to best serve them. But yeah, that'd be mine. I'm not super adventurous with my food anyway. There's nothing fancy going on my plate.
Oh, but eggs are always good.
I know.
Excuse me.
What is the most worn item in your wardrobe? Did we talk about this last week? I don't think we did.
I don't think so. No, we talked about it the week before when I was saying I was determined to wear my wardrobe. My most worn item is probably a hoodie. Well, it's not really even technically a hoodie. It's one of the high collared. It has 2 zips and it comes kind of up around my nose. But I bought it on Depop, I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago, and I wear it nearly every day. I love it. It's comfortable, it's warm, but you look tidy. You look like you've actually put in some form of an effort into it. But I'd say that's probably my most worn one. That and 47 pairs of pajamas, but I don't think they count.
I Mine's probably definitely my Spanx leggings. They have to be. I
They're
literally
lovely.
like
What about your
any
coat?
excuse to wear them. Huh?
What about your coat? Your lovely coat.
Yeah, no, I wear that a lot. But even like summer or winter, you'll probably find me in the Spanx leggings. They're
So
just
comfy.
like very versatile. Dress them up, dress them down, and make me feel good. Mine are actually, I had gotten them. I think I got them actually not long after I had Brie, so I got them in a kind of a slightly bigger size. So they were probably getting a little bit too big for me before I fell pregnant again. But now that I'm pregnant, like they're not maternity, but they're still fitting the bump. So I'm
Yeah.
like dead on. Yeah, they've definitely been worth their weight in gold now, I have to say. What let me see. What moment in your past do you wish you could experience again for the first time?
Oh, wow.
It's a good one, isn't it?
That is a really good one. Oh,
Do you know, I'll go with mine, and I'll give you a sec to think about
yeah.
yours. Mine is actually when you get a new horse. So I remember
Really?
back to I remember back to when, so my first horse was Barney. He was a lease horse, and he
Yeah.
belonged to a friend of my mum and dad, and we leased him for a year. And we went up to the yard on Christmas morning for me to actually meet him. I hadn't met him. Like I was
Yeah.
11-year-old and he was 16-3 shire. Like, do you know what I mean? It wasn't exactly the best thing on paper, but he was fine. But then we went and we bought Abby, and it's just that feeling when you get a new horse. And like I had her on livery, do you know what I mean? So it wasn't like I could just pop outside and see her. But that feeling when you kind of go, oh my God, like this is the start of a journey. This is the start of
Yeah.
like a partnership or whatever. And you just can't get enough of them. And even when I get a new horse into the yard now, I'm watching them out the window and I'm like,
You're keeping an
it's
eye
just,
on it. Yeah.
yeah, it's
That is
just
a
that
lovely
feeling.
feeling, to be fair.
Yeah, I wish I could relive that for each of the horses that I've ever gotten, because it's been slightly different because I've bought them with intentions to do other things and stuff like that. So like I would love to relive those moments
That's a
again.
lovely feeling.
Of day one with your new horse, So
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's such a lovely feeling. I think if it's like probably sticking to the horsey route, maybe the first day, and this did not come naturally to me, the first day that I rode on the gallops, that I really felt in control, that I went, yeah, I got this. That feeling, there is nothing in the world that I'm convinced can ever compare to doing a piece of work on a horse. And you're coming around. So one of the yards that I worked in, we were very lucky. The gallop was beautiful, but we had a 5 furlong oval gallop, and you could go straight up the hill. So on work days, you do 2 steady, and then you'd work them up along the hill. But I remember it being, and I'll never forget it for as long as I live. The horse was called Wolf Creek. He was a real old school national hunt horse, big, chunky liver chestnut, and I loved him. I adored him. And he probably actually taught me how to ride, really and truly. But we came around the bottom corner, and I was riding up sides, and the chap that was beside me said to me, "Drop your hands." I went, "What?" And he went, "Just trust me, just drop." Like I had my hands kind of, anyway, he told me just to drop my hands a little bit further. Well, when I say the power, that feeling, and it was all like he was so powerful behind, and he just took off. And I got to the top of the gallops, and I'd say they thought I was as mad as box for us. I started crying. I was like, this is magic. Like this I could do. Now, not when I'm getting ran away with or being booked off or like feeling that non-control, but that feeling. Oh, I would happily live on the endorphins from that forever. I wish I could do that again.
I love
That
it.
would be very cool.
All right, we'll do one more before we move on to our rights and wrongs.
Okay.
This is a funny one. Which family member are you closest to, and why?
Oh,
Controversial.
controversial. um, oh, sure, look, it'd have to be my dad, really and truly. Like I'm very, very close to my sister Neve, and we talk every day. But myself and dad have a mad relationship. Like it. My sure you've seen this, Sarah. You know our relationship. Like we could,
Yeah.
myself and dad can have conversations without ever actually saying a word, and
Yeah.
like I just to me that gets my soul every time. So I'm very sorry, Neve, but it would have to be that.
I apologize, Niamh, for throwing that question in the mixer. Just throwing a
That's it. She has a
grenade
fair idea on where we're
or
saving
two of family. Mine is, it's funny because my relationship with my mum and dad. So me and Davy, like my brother, we were very close, but we don't pick up the phone and ring each other very often. Do you know what I mean? But it's just
Yeah,
like,
that's a lovely relationship, though, that you
it
don't feel
is.
that you
It's just a
have to do
certain, like,
that.
there's such a safety feeling involved in it. Like, there really is.
Yeah,
And I still feel like I can be brutally honest with him, and vice versa. Like, it's just that kind of very much brother sister relationship, but we probably don't ring each other enough or see each other enough, whatever. But the difference between my mum and dad, me and mum will be quite different. Me and dad are very similar, put it that way, and we probably think
yeah,
similarly. We worked together for years, and for that reason, I'd probably say I don't even want to say closer, but it's just very, very different. Whereas, like, me and my mom would probably talk every day, and have a kind of like mother-daughter relationship. But I would, because me and dad are probably so alike, we're probably typically on the same page. Like, we would hardly
and
ever have a disagreement at all.
yeah.
If we do, it's very amicably discussed out. Like, I'm sure it's very frustrating for people. But yeah, and we work well together. So, like, I think,
Yeah,
there's obviously so much help that he gives me in the yard and everything like that. But, like, Jesus Christ, where would it be without both of my parents? Like, I'm so
oh,
incredibly lucky to not just be close to them, like,
100%.
hypothetically, but like, or like emotionally, but like close to them physically too. Like, they only live a few miles up the road from me. Like, I would just be absolutely lost without them. But anyway, right, we'll move on to our rides and wrongs of the week. Marco,
My ride of the week. Have you seen Riviera on Netflix?
I have not,
What's the
but
name of
why
the
do I?
actress? The lady, because it was on Sky, and I think it actually probably is. Oh, well, I'm not going to say there's 2 seasons of it on Sky, so it's obviously out a little while. The actress from 10 Things I Hate About You, and I can't think
Oh,
of her
what's her
name.
name?
Yeah, she's the main character in it.
Oh, Julia
Um,
Stiles.
it is absolutely. It's the first series I have to say now in a long time that I am convinced myself to turn it off because I want to know what happens in the next one and the next one. It is excellent,
Right.
and none of it I have predicted. None of it I've
Okay.
got.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
really
That's a
obvious.
good one.
Like excellent, excellent, excellent. The other one, and I don't have it written down, but while it's in my head, listen to an unbelievable book called Wifedom.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not something I would usually listen to. But it's brilliant if anybody is looking to listen to a book anytime soon. I got it on Borrow Box, but it's very, very good. And my wrong of the week is I can't find wellies that fit my legs. First world problems. I know, but I have massive, massive calves. I always have. It's a downfall. And I cannot get wellies that are comfortable. So if anybody knows wellies for a bigger legged person, can you please
bless.
just tell me, because it's really wrecking my head. They're just not comfortable. They're just not comfy. So that's my wrong
And
of the
that's
week.
it too. It's not even just about, like, whether you can actually fit into them or not. It's about whether they're comfortable to
They're
wear
just not
all
comfy.
day, every day.
They're really not. Like I don't and like I have tried some madly priced wellies. They're just not comfy.
Yeah.
So there has to be wellies out there that are just going to be comfortable, and I
So
will find
yeah,
them. When I do, I will tell you. But Sarah, I
Yes.
am very excited about your ride of the week.
My ride of the week, and I don't have a wrong of the week because we're going to just leave that alone for a second, but my ride of the week is at the EnviBand. So I spoke last week about Envious, my other business that I run with my best friend, and the physical product that we have is the EnviBand. So designed, created, all done by us, distributed by us, packed by me and my girls. But we featured this morning on IrelandAM. Now, it was so nerve-wracking, Muir, to say the least, because
I love the video of yourself and Nicola.
This has been in talks with IrelandAM for like probably 2 or 3 months now, and we were supposed to be on, and then it got pulled, and then we were supposed to be on, and then it was like, will we actually be on? So we didn't know, like, it was out of our hands. We didn't even have any control as to, you know, how they used it or what outfit they used it on or anything like that. So, but they did an incredible job. We were so happy about it. Nicola came over this morning, and it was funny actually, because I was going to go, she had a meeting first thing this morning, so I was going to go to her with the girls, and then she rang me. She was like, look, I'm done. We're not on yet, so why don't I just come to you? But then our driveway, John was working on our driveway, and it got a bit mucky in the rain overnight. So I was like, oh my God, like Nicola's going to get stuck. Do you know what I mean? So John had to go down and just make sure she got in the driveway okay. She ended up leaving her car just to not muck it up. But anyway, that's a long story. But it was like, oh my God, like if people could see what goes on behind the scenes. And so then just before it came on, I set up the camera and I just did a time lapse. And like you just see myself and Nicola there, and my 2 girls jumping all over the both of us, like doing what we're trying to listen and watch, like our product on.
It's really nice to Sarah. Like, oh, I just thought it was lovely.
But you know what, we're like, I have to actually like take a moment later on and just register like what the fuck happened, because it was all such a good morning.
Yeah. Oh, do take 5 minutes and sit down and watch back the video and process it all. And like the power of it. You should be so proud of yourselves. It's just amazing. I think it's brilliant.
It is. It is just a bit hard to believe. It's a bit hard to believe at the moment, but I'll take a bit of time and think about it. But yeah, it's been, and we got, like, you sent it to me. We didn't even know that we were going to be in the Sunday Independent on Sunday. You sent it to me.
You should have seen it. I squealed, Sarah. Oh, like I actually squealed. We were sitting in the hotel eating our breakfast, and the magazine was open in front of me, right? And I was reading down through the things. And you know when it takes you a second, so like I looked, and then I looked again. I went, oh, Pork! And he was like, what?
And like Pork probably gives absolutely zero fucks, but whatever.
Oh no, he's heard me talking about the EnviBand a lot now, to be fair. But he was like, oh, that's nice. I was like, but it's here.
It is, but like that was a surprise for us too. So we're like, oh my God, like it's, you know, these things just kind of pop up in real life. I think that's what it is. You're kind of going like,
yeah,
you talk about these things, you work hard behind the scenes, and then to actually see them happen in real life as you would for somebody else or another product. But it's just kind of that realization that it's actually something that you have worked on for a long time. So it's been incredible. And there's a few feature pieces to come on Nicola specifically, and the styling side of things with her. So I'm really looking forward to seeing if there's any publications on that. And yeah, it's been a journey, shall we say. So that is my ride of the week, and we're not even going to go down the wrong of the week. We'll leave that alone for next week. There's enough going on. Remember, that was great crack. We can sign off. Where are we time wise? Yeah, we're a few minutes over. Sorry folks, but we're not too bad. And just to remind everybody that this month, the month of February, we are kindly being sponsored by Turf Stars, and they are an incredible business that have a collection, what will be a collection, it's in the making, of stars off the track, basically. So your little horse stars, you can get them made into real life. In would you call them teddies, or would you call them basically soft toy format?
Yeah.
The best kind.
Yes. No, they are gorgeous. They're lovely.
We'll be chatting about them and doing a little bit more with them on our socials as well. So keep an eye out for that. But very, very excited and happy to have them on board. So really appreciate their support for the Double D's Live podcast. And that is it. We shall sign off for the week and hope we see you this time next week.